Okay, good morning. Thank you all for being here. To respect of your time, we have more enrolled participants. However, you know that they'll be coming later, so we're just going to start with you guys. And of course, people are coming during the presentation. So first I want to go ahead and introduce our presenter. We're going to start today talking about sustainability. The last Q, we're talking about data analytics, data management, and artificial intelligence. And right now we are starting to talk about a new topic, the sustainability that we have been working in Latin America with Teresa. So welcome you all, welcome Teresa. Teresa, she studied industrial engineering at the ITBA, the Instituto Tecnológico de Buenos Aires. She is a professional doctor in engineering, in logistics by the Eindhoven Technological University. And right now she's working as a director of the Center of Integral Logistics and Operations, the CLIO at the IPA. So if Teresa wants to go deeper on the explanation, I just leave the room to her. Again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Teresa, for your disposition and for sharing your knowledge. And the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Agata. First of all, thank you very much for having me here and welcome everybody. My name is Teresa Brandi. I work at ITBA as a researcher in logistics and operations. And within our center of research, we have something called the Observatorio de Logística Sustentable. So it's like an observatory for sustainability in the supply chain. We welcome companies to come and collaborate, participate. We hope to be like a helping hand if a company wants to be more sustainable. We want to be there for them and support them. So that is the point of the observatory. We open our doors for everybody interested in joining. And we try to keep a strong connection with companies because also we need the companies to do research and to investigate. So I think it's a really nice environment. Well, we are both gaining a lot from this relationship. So welcome. I'm just curious, in the people that are joining us today, are there everybody's from academia, or is there somebody from a company that is joining today?
I work in both of them.
Okay, great. And
Hello.
You're here because of interest in academia, or you want to take it to the company?
Academia, my research line is about sustainability too, so I wanted to learn more and to interact with colleagues doing the same.
Okay, great. Well, nice to know. Well, the reason why I wanted to start asking this is because the main objective in our project right now is to do a project that keeps us connected with companies and to be shine a light on the topic of sustainability, because in Latin America is something that maybe companies are scared to start to work on these subjects because they are afraid it's going to be too much work or too much money. And we are trying to break down these sort of fears that companies have. And that's why we are really interested in working with companies all the time. So to bring the topic to them, because at the end of the day, the companies are the ones that are making the decisions and having the impact on the environment. So that's why we want to work really closely with them. So let me share my presentation and I can start. Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is a project that has started a long time ago. So back in 2014, I wasn't even at ITBA yet. The first survey on sustainability in the supply chain was performed in Argentina. At that time, I have to be honest, sustainability wasn't something that somebody was talking about. So it was like a new thing, like it looked for the future and it was something far away. But we started with a small survey, trying to check on companies to see what they were doing about sustainability, which wasn't much at that point. This survey was carried out in Argentina every year, so from 2014 onwards. But in 2019, I was already at ITPA, and I was collaborating with some colleagues of other countries in Latin America. So we decided to try a first like pilot project, a survey, like a regional survey only in Brazil and Uruguay, just to see what would happen if we replicate this work in other countries. The experience was really gratifying. Brazil and Uruguay shared the survey. It was successful. We had to do it in Portuguese. We have to do it in Spanish. It had some challenges, but we were really happy with the results. So in 2020, we opened the doors for new partners. And this year was really successful because we incorporated a lot of new countries and a lot of new partners in our project. And we were really happy about that as well. So in 2021, we keep reaching out to new partners. We incorporated new countries like República Dominicana. So we started to be not just LATAM, but LATAM and the Caribbean. And again, it was really like a really positive experience. So we keep doing it year after year. So this is just some of the partners over the years, some of the countries represented in the survey. I wanted to put some of the logos because for us it's really important not only to reach out with the companies, but also to reach out with other colleagues in other countries and try to spread the word about sustainability across Latin America. So this is a lot of something that I'm really proud about is all the partners that were able to collaborate. So if you want to know why we decided to do a survey, in the origin, it was more like a visibility thing. Like we wanted to let people know that sustainability was an option. You could try to focus your company on being more sustainable. So it was more about putting a spotlight on the topic. It wasn't really known at the time. So it was really new and we were happy to do that. But of course, as the year grew by, sustainability became more and more relevant. But we were seeing there was not enough data. So the survey is really useful because you can have raw data of how the companies are doing and how they're doing over the years. So it is always nice to have a number to make a decision. For the companies that participate in the survey, they also can compare how they are doing versus the average of the country or the average of the region. So that is also very nice. But to be honest, we don't do it only because of the data. We also see the survey as an opportunity to spread the message. So the survey is done in a really simple way. The questions are structured really simply so that somebody that doesn't know anything about sustainability can still answer, like I would say, 80–90% of the questions, because they are broken down in a way that are really easy and you don't really need to know what sustainability is. So we have like checkboxes and we don't ask what are the best practices for sustainability that you do. We just, in the survey, we put all the options that we think are relevant and the company just needs to check the options. They don't need to know if they're sustainable or not. We just say, do you optimize the routing of your trucks? Do you optimize the way you load your trucks? So these are all best practices, but the person answering the survey doesn't need to know. And what we find out later when we talk with the companies is that people are a bit surprised that, oh, we are doing more things that are sustainable than we thought. So this is like a double way of spreading the message. For a company that is maybe more less mature in these topics, they still are doing some of the best practices that are good. So it's a good motivator for them. Another thing is, like we are saying, breaking the prejudice. Like many companies hear sustainability, the first thing that comes to their mind is the environment, and they believe they need to do like huge investments in new technology that is clean in order to be more sustainable. But actually, it depends where you're starting, because if you're starting with processes that are not efficient, when you have really good, good hungry fruit, like you have really good opportunities you can take, most of them will come with cost reductions as well as a less impact in the environment. So we want to use the survey to invite people to join this trend and not to be afraid that the solutions are really far reach for a small company, because that is not the case. We also love the collaboration and the partnerships that we have gained through the years with this kind of work. So this is why we still do a survey. We think the data is really good and the visibility is really good, but also it's a way to spread the message with content and to bring the sustainability to a place that is more attainable for small companies. So this is some of the numbers of the survey throughout the years. As you can see, we started really small in Argentina, and we really enjoyed bringing partners from other countries. And I think we are really happy with the outcomes. The one thing we notice is a trend of the numbers going down. So in 2020, well, you know, it was a special year with the pandemic. We had a huge number of responses. I think that year a lot of people were working from home and they were participating in a lot of webinars and stuff like that. And they were answering surveys because they were home. But then we saw that the numbers started going down. So we decided to embrace this, and we say, okay, maybe the companies don't want to answer the same survey year after year, because things don't change that much in a company from one year to the next. So we decided to leave even years, we will do the sustainability survey, the one that we've been doing for many years. And in the odd years, we will do an in-depth study that the focus is more qualitative. So from the conclusions we derive from the survey, we pick a topic that we think it's relevant, and we dive deeper into that topic on the next year. So that is the work schedule that we will keep going from now forward. And the main objective is to keep having this collaboration and partners with the other academic institutions throughout the years. So I will just show you like a really small summary of the 2023 was the first time we did that in-depth study instead of doing the survey. We collaborated with 4 universities. Agatha here was part of this project, so thanks, Agatha. We did an in-depth interview with more than 30 companies in different countries, and our focus was on the KPIs of sustainability. So we wanted to know, we picked the companies that were more mature in sustainability based on the survey. So if a company answer, we have a sustainability report, we measure our outcomes, we have all the best practices, we say, great, we want to know why you do it or how you do it. So we asked them what KPIs they were measuring and what KPIs they were measuring that trigger decisions in the company. So you know that nowadays maybe companies have a lot of KPIs and dashboards and a lot of information available, but that doesn't always relate to a decision-making process. So especially in sustainability, it's important to figure out with which KPIs are triggering decisions. So this is just an overview summary, but we gathered the main 5 KPIs. And what we see is we gather from 30 companies a lot of KPIs, and most were focused on economic and environmental impact. And social was clearly the part of sustainability that was less measured. We know this is more difficult to measure this aspect of sustainability, and we could see this in the companies. They don't know how to measure it, and it is an area that is hard to put into numbers, right? The social impact of your actions. But I wanted to focus on the results of the last survey that it was in 2022. This is, I don't want to share like a lot of numbers and a lot of, I don't want to bore you with a lot of numbers, but I will show you some of them. The objective of this survey, as I said, we always do like a final report that is focused not for academic purpose, but for the companies. And we share this with the companies because our main goal here is to bring sustainability closer to the companies. So we do a report that is structured more for a company than for the paper for academia. And we share this with all the companies that we asked to answer the survey, so they have the information available. It's a way of saying thank you for giving us your time and your effort, right? So the results that we get are quite positive. if you see the number of companies that have sustainability reports are quite good, like 30% on average in Latin America, and some countries going to 44%. It is a bit surprising that not as many companies measure carbon footprint. So yeah, you can find some of the inconsistencies. The thing is, a sustainability report is not something that is standardized. So a company can have a sustainability report that is really complete and exhaustive and really good, and another company may have a sustainability report that is a bit lacking in some of the aspects. So it's a bit difficult to measure, and this is what the companies are saying they have. We don't go and check it after. And this is one of the questions from the survey that I like most, and the question is, how much is sustainability considered or taken into account when you're making these main decisions in your company? So the first is strategic objectives of the company. So when you're setting your strategic goals in a company, do you take into consideration sustainability? And a lot of companies believe they do. So 42% of companies say that the sustainability is fully integrated in the objectives of the company. If I have to give my unbiased opinion, I think that is quite high when we look at results. It is quite optimistic of them to say this, but it is what they perceive, so it is important. Then in external communication, also a very high number, 37% of companies think it is fully integrated. So when they are communicating with customers, with suppliers, with the outside world, they are taking into account sustainability. The same, even higher for internal communications and for operation and productions. So when we're talking about human resources and supply chain, this number goes a bit down, but they're still really good numbers. So we also include the companies that take these subjects into account. We are talking of more than 80% of companies are taking into account sustainability. So these numbers were not the same when we started the survey. So this is quite, this is showing that sustainability is not a new thing. So companies are trying to incorporate it into their processes across the company, not just like something separate that is in charge of sustainability, but something that goes across the company. So I think this is really a positive result. We also ask companies why or what are the motivations to becoming more sustainable. I think motivations are really important because companies sometimes are scared of approaching the subject of sustainability. They think they don't have time, they don't have manpower, they don't have knowledge how to do it. But the companies that do try to be more sustainable, they do it because 75%, they say, is because they want to save costs. So that is a motivation I think that every company can relate to. So it is quite realistic of Latin America. Every company wants to save costs, and sustainability can help you get there in a more sustainable way, to be a bit repetitive. And 67% do it because they want to improve their corporate image. So this is something more like a traditional reason why companies started with sustainability, was because it looked good. So you can tell customers that you're being more sustainable or more green. So that was their initial motivation to embark in this journey. But now they can see that it also brings cost saving. It's not just a matter of it looks good. It is also a matter that it is effective and it is cost saving. And this is the third top reason is resource awareness. This is a new thing for the survey in 2022. This reason was always ranked like top 6 reason. I think this is a really nice reason. People are more aware of the resources in the planet are limited, and we have to be aware of the consumption and the way we use them. So I think it's really nice that these type of reasons are going higher up year after year. I'm sorry, there is some Spanish here. I couldn't translate all the slides in time, but this was one of the things I was mentioning before. We asked the companies what best practices on transportation, and the next slide is on warehouses they're using. So when you complete the survey, you have a very long list of best practices, let's say, and the person can check whether they do them or not. And these are the most implemented. That is routing optimization, loading of the vehicles optimization, preventative maintenance of the trucks, and fleet renovation. So these are things that if you keep doing these things over the years, then your fleet will have a less impact on the environment. And they were the most implemented in transportation. And some of the ones that were not used as often that we see as an opportunity is the driver, oh, Agatha, help me, how do you say capacitación? Like training of the drivers in efficient vehicle use. So this is all, this has two aspects. Is the environmental aspect, that if you drive in a better way, you will use less fuel, but it also has a social impact. If you drive better, then you're safer on the road, safer for yourself and safer for others on the road. So we are really surprised that this is not something that more companies are doing, like constant driver training to keep this up, and also measuring of the type of driving your drivers are doing. So you have a lot of technology that can help you in this. And this is one of the best practices that is least used. And the other one is, well, aerodynamics, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say it? Well, I'm not sure, but to make the truck slide better with the wind. I don't know the word in English, I'm sorry. This is also like a really inexpensive best practice you can do, and you immediately has an impact in the fuel consumption. So we were also surprised that more companies are not doing this. And best practices on warehouse. The ones that were most often checked was lighting and natural venting of the warehouses, rational use of electric energy, LED technology for the lights that has a far less consumption of electricity. And I put the same twice, I'm sorry. So this was for the warehouses. Just to be clear, in the survey is addressed to all types of companies. They don't all have warehouses. So the companies that don't have a warehouse, they just skip this part of the survey. The same goes with the trucks. The companies that don't own the trucks or are not in charge of the fleet, they just skip that part of the survey, but we still gather the other data for them. And just to give like a conclusion of the survey that we can see over the years, that we see the same thing over the years, is that a lot of companies are using a lot of the best practices that we list as potential best practices for sustainability. But then when we ask how many policies, there are more questions that I didn't want to include today, so this was very long. We ask what type of policies they have for sustainability, and the numbers start to go down. So we have like about 80% of companies that do 2 or 3 best practices in warehousing and in transportation. When we go to practices, this number, politics, this number goes down. And in the last stage, we ask how much do you measure these best practices, and the number goes even lower. So this we can see over the years. We see it as a degree of maturity, like companies that are just starting, they start doing some best practices here and there, but they don't have like they don't set a goal, or they don't view those practices as sustainability. As these companies mature on sustainability, they start to develop policies of sustainability that go across different sectors of the company. And in the last stage of sustainability is when we can really see that they are measuring the impact of their actions. So in these companies, we focus our in-depth analysis for our 2023 project, because we want to see what the companies are doing that already did the journey of sustainability and they're more mature in these topics. So I think this can help companies that are just starting where to focus and where to start. And that's what we're doing. But it is really over the years, we can see like the numbers going, like most companies do practices, a smaller number of companies have policies, and an even smaller number of companies measure the impact of their actions. So we are trying to speed up and help along companies that are just starting to get to a more mature level of sustainability. Yeah. So thank you for your attention. Let me know if anyone has questions. You can see that there's a website. You can check. We have all the reports and stuff. They're all in Spanish. I'm sorry if you need an English version, you can let me know. But you can check everything out there.
For your presentation. So we are going to open the floor if you have any questions and comments on the presentation that Tara just gave us. You can just open your mic. We're a small group here, so you can just open your mic.
While you are wondering some of the questions you might have, I can take the opportunity to say we are just starting the 2024 survey. So if anybody is an academic and is interested in being part of this project, you can let me know. And we are just starting, so we are on time. Today we have a meeting about it.
Yes, today is the meeting.
Hi,
in Colombia.
Good morning for everybody.
Hi.
So thank you so much for your presentation. I was just wondering, what are the main challenges that you have found so far in your project, which is very interesting, by the way.
For us, the main challenge to keep this project alive, we need to keep growing in the sample size of our survey, because especially I don't do a lot of analysis from 1 year to the next because our sample size is a bit small. So when we started, we were only reaching companies from the Observatorio de Logística Sustentable. So they were all companies that are really sustainable focused. So the numbers are a bit tainted. They're not really a representation of Argentina, but more a representation of companies that are trying to be sustainable. So as years go by, we started to have a bigger reach, and these numbers, like we were comparing, and this Argentina is going down in the numbers. And it's not really that. It's more like we are expanding our reach, and we are getting to companies that are maybe smaller and they don't have a person on sustainability, or they don't have the knowledge. So we were seeing a trend that wasn't really there. So for the survey and for the numbers to have more impact, I think the project is amazing, but the sample size is still small. I don't feel comfortable saying like 40% of companies in Argentina have a sustainability report. I think only 40% of the companies I can reach have a sustainability report. So that is a very different thing. So I'm really careful when I share the numbers to try them not to be misleading, you know? So for me, the next step would be to be able to reach more companies, different size of companies, and not companies that are so close to the Observatorio, because this makes the number look prettier. And that's not, I don't think that is the reality of the country and of the region. But I think it's better to have a number than no number. But it's also wise to know how we get to this number.
Okay, thank you.
If there's another question.
Do we have any other question? No? I was just wondering something else.
Okay, thank you, Gina.
I mean, I don't know if maybe you're gonna see some changes in the companies due to the, you know, the whole political change that you have been experiencing in Argentina. So what do you think about that?
Argentina is in a very weird year. So I think companies in 2023 are going to be on survival mode, especially companies that are only local. But also that is a reality in Latin America. We have cycles that go up and down like crazy, and companies need to survive them. I do think that sustainability can help a company long term to be more adaptable to this type of changes. But I don't think 2023 is going to be a year when people are focusing on this type of topics. They will be focusing on reducing costs. So I think a lot of sustainability, like the first things you do in sustainability are really cost effective when you're not an efficient company. But I don't think they will put the view on it as sustainability, but just we are on survival mode, we have a recession, we need to tighten the belt, and they will start doing things to be more efficient because of that. So yeah, but I don't think we will see investments, we don't see, fleet renovation, it will be minimum. Yeah, that is our reality this year.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a similar situation to other countries in Latin America. And I think it's very, very smart from you to highlight the benefit in the cost.
Yeah, for sure. When I talk to companies, I start with that because in the end, companies need to care about the bottom line because otherwise they will not survive in the long term. So I think I try to be very clear that when you're just starting in this, the cost savings opportunities usually are really interesting. If you're looking at a European company that is really mature and efficient, then the things start to be more tricky, but we are not there yet. So at least most Argentinian companies are not there yet. So I try to be very clear, like there's a lot of opportunities to saving costs. And if you find an opportunity that is not cost efficient at all, like you have to invest a huge amount of money and you will be spending the same, then we'll just don't do it. So not to be afraid of starting this topic. And I always try to encourage them to measure. Some of the funny things, you talk to companies, trackers, and they say, oh no, I bought the aerodynamic things for the truck and I'm spending the same amount of fuel. And I was like, did you track the way, how fast the truck was going? I'm like, no, not really. Okay, so you go and you ask for the driver and they say, oh, when you put that, I can step on it. So the trucker was going faster because the engine could handle it. So the fuel was being used in getting there faster. And I'm like, okay, you have to do things like think about it and measure the impact because otherwise you will waste the benefits, Like the driver was really happy and getting there faster. The fuel consumption was the same, but that was not the point. The point was to invest and to get a return with the savings of fuel. But if you start to go faster, then like the main driver was you have to track what you're doing. You cannot just do it and hope for the best. But it's a learning curve. It's interesting.
Yes, it's interesting indeed. And I was just thinking about some project that I saw last week. It was about some fishermen. I don't know if that's the word.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting because the government here in Colombia, they gave these people some new ships, small ships, with huge motors, so they could go faster. But the thing is that the fishermen said that the fuel cost was too high, and it was not a good idea for them to use those ships because it was too expensive to pay for the fuel. And there was this project which was about trying to find a more sustainable vehicle, I don't know, boat. Like at the same time, it helps with reducing the cost of the fuel, and it's a more sustainable way to do their business. So yes, I definitely think there are good opportunities in there.
Yeah, and usually the person that knows this thing is the operator, not so much the owner. Like the owner was, I did everything right, I did the investment, but you have to pay attention on how it is operating, and you have to train your drivers and what to do. Like you cannot, especially I was like holding my head also about the social part. Like you invest in something and that means the truck is going faster on the routes. That is not a good thing. You should be tracking that not only for fuel consumption, but for the social impact and the security on the roads. So yeah, some of the basics are missing sometimes, like driving a truck, tracking the way your drivers are driving. It is quite like you think it's the place to start, but not all companies do this. I don't know in other countries, but in Argentina we have a very strong presence of the unions that they're not quite happy with the tracking. But you know, you have to put the security also of the driver first. Like it's not to control you, it's to help you drive safer. So you have to change. I think sustainability is, has the capacity to change the perspective. You sell it to the company as cost saving, but you sell it to the people that it's not only cost saving, it's also less impacted on the environment and a more safe environment for you. So we are all winning here. It's not just the company that is saving cost, it's everybody's winning. So I think the most powerful thing of sustainability is that it is a great motivator where companies and people and all stakeholders can get behind the idea of sustainability. So it is really, I have some stories like really interesting, like a whole company aligns perfectly with sustainability. So yeah, I think it's amazing. It's very powerful. But for companies,
love it.
they are a bit, yeah. Companies are a bit afraid. I find like, oh, we have to do something for the environment, but we are a truck company. But yeah, you can do it. It's important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very interesting, Ted.
Thank you.
Thank
So if you don't have any more questions, I will proceed to thank you, Tere. Thank you for your time. Thank you for presentation. See you in a few hours for the kickoff. So it's a great project. Actually, Gina, we need Colombia, so
Yeah.
Okay, count on me. I mean,
we are missing Colombia there, so please feel free to join us. And thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for your presence, and hopefully we can see further collaborations through this project. Again, thank you, Tere. I'm gonna pass the word to Gina so she can close the session. Gina is actually our current president of the POMSLAC chapter, so she's just gonna send a brief message and then have the session done. Thank you.
okay, so thank you, Agda, and thank Tere for her great presentation. Thanks, Agatha, for organizing this session. You've done a really great job. And so I'd like to tell you that we have another session coming, which will be June. Johanna Maya's presentation will be on June 13. 13. Okay, so you are more than welcome to join. And the idea is to have these more often and with greater participation from our community. I am confident that with these spaces, with these type of sessions, we can identify new opportunities for research, new opportunities for collaboration, and we can really focus on things that are relevant for our region, which is at the bottom line, that is like our main interest. If you think about some topic that you'd like us to include for a future session, just don't hesitate to contact us, and we will be really happy to consider and to try to push it forward. So I just wanted to say thank you again for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Next session, we are gonna be spamming you with all the events and the information about that. And like Gina said, please reach out to us. Let's grow this network. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye.